Hello guys, thanks for tuning in. Jay Helmsing here. Today we're going to review the Sig Sauer M17 and I'll kind of give you my impressions, my take on the gun, and I'm also going to spin in a little bit of my military perspective on it. So I've been in the military now for 17 years and counting, and I've been shooting competitively with the military for quite some time now. So I'll kind of give you my take on the weapon as well. I see some reviews out there with people who are just kind of theorizing and maybe they have some prior experience in the military, not necessarily current experience. So I'll kind of give you my take on it, how I think it's going to be used, if I think it's a good choice for the military and so on, and we'll get into those reviews here in just a little bit. First, let's talk about the pistol itself. So here we have what is actually not an M17. This is the M17 air pistol model. So I just wanted to kind of show that off really quickly. Some people don't know this is out there, but Sig did release a fully cycling model of their M17 for people to train with. So I think it's targeted more probably for the military, you know, to get those kind of reps in without actually shooting ammunition, but also very handy if you live in an urban area, if you live in a place where you have a basement or something like that and you want to do some training in the winter. Kind of a neat little option here. So there might be a full review on this coming up if I have enough demand for that, but I just wanted to throw that out there as kind of part of the package that was submitted to the military. So Sig is kind of going all out. As you guys may have noticed, they have released their own version of the NATO 9mm round, dubbed the M17 round. You know, hopefully that's going to be a rendition of what they do present for the military, so maybe a little more accurate loading there. But obviously the plus P version of the 9mm, which is loaded to NATO SAMI specs and whatnot. So they're kind of coming out with an entire package for this gun, which is kind of cool. You don't really see that with a whole lot of other guys. Definitely didn't see it with the Beretta and things like that. So you can kind of get immersed in this world of the M17 and kind of get really whatever you want. To make it a little more authentic, or make it help yourself train and things like that with the platform. So without any more blabbing, we'll get on to with the show here. Here's the M17. This is not the commemorative version for a couple reasons. First off, I don't see the point in paying a premium for the M17 commemorative that just has the Coyote controls, came off the line that the military guns are made on, and so on. I'm not a gun collector. All my guns get shot. I don't have any safe queens or anything like that, so it just didn't really fit with my lifestyle. The other caveat you will see, this does not have a safety on it. I just didn't want the safety. I don't really believe in safeties. I think that's mostly just kind of a political thing with this gun itself. Just holstering it up and people can see, oh, it's on safe or something like that. And it also serves as a little extra safeguard. And we'll kind of get into how the military uses pistols here in a moment, by and large. And we'll talk about maybe why that safety is incorporated. But for me, I wanted a gun that I could use, and I know for sure I'd be hung up on that safety, just kind of thinking about doing it. Or I might, get some training scars and using that with, compared to my duty gun, which is, basically the P320 without a safety. So I didn't really want to go that route. So enough blabbing about there. This is the non-safety model, but other than that, everything is pretty much accurate as far as what you're going to get. Now I have actually fired the M17 itself. And the one that I shot, ironically, had the black controls. So I know the military now is fielding the one with the black controls, so this is maybe a little bit more authentic looking than the one you're going to get with the commemorative. But just some things to think about. I know there is a slight difference, and that's going to be with the Tritium insert, so we'll kind of get to that in just a moment with the commemorative versus the commercial version of that. So you also notice, before I take this down, we do have the Leupold Deltapoint on that. I've trained with this with the Leupold. I've trained on this with just the open sight, so we'll get into that in kind of a top to bottom in a minute. And hopefully I will not spend too much time dwelling on this sight because that's not really my goal here. I just kind of wanted to set it up as the military may use it and go from there. So we'll get to that in a moment. I will be showing you guys the Beretta M9. This is an actual Beretta M9, so it's not a commercial version. This is one of the few commemoratives, if you will, that was released by Beretta that came directly off of the line for the military. So this is as close as we can get without taking you guys to the armory. We'll also compare that to the good old standby Sig P320. This one's an FDE, but we'll just kind of show you guys some findings that I found, some differences with the M17 you may not be aware of. Okay, so let's do a top to bottom on this. Basically, you have this kind of neat coyote color here, which was mandated by the MHS contract. I like the color. I think it's a little bit, different flavor of the FDE, kind of a neat little dark brown color. It's not a really good finish. It's not going to really stand up. This one already has some scars, some markings, some battle wear, if you will. So I expect the ones carried by the military are just going to be beat like dogs. So you're going to have a lot of really cool battle wear on those things. Does it make or break it? I really don't think so. Some people talked about the tracks you're going to get in here. With this rubbing, and of course this gun does have that. This gun has about 550 rounds or so through it right now. But other than that, you know, the coating is a pretty nice color and it's pretty appealing. It does match the grip fairly well, so I will give it that. It's just not going to be the most durable coating in the world, which you may have seen from some of the PVDs, specifically from Sig Sauer. They just don't really seem to hold up as well as some of the other finishes out there. It's neither here nor there, but it is worth mentioning. We'll talk about the sights next. I love the sights on this gun. I mean, I love the sights on this gun. They're different from the standard P320. So if you can see that front dot, it's not a suppressor height or anything, but it is a larger front dot. So it's a little bit larger than you're going to get from your standard P320 night sights or anything like that. So they are specific to this model here. Now on the rear, I really like what they did here. This is the plate that you guys take off, of course, if you wanted to put the optic on like I have. I'm not going to mess with changing that out just in the interest of time. But you guys notice this back sight, really, really nice notch there, and they blacked out those two tritium vials on the rear. So that's really cool. It doesn't have any chrome rings, nothing around it. You can see the dots, but obviously it is blacked out back there. So with that bright, larger front dot and that blacked out rear, this is my preferred setup as far as a factory Sig goes. I've not found a Sig Sauer handgun that comes with a better factory option as far as sights go than these. Now it is worth mentioning this back plate here on these civilian guns. These are going to be green tritium inserts, along with the front is also green tritium. In the military, the front is going to be green tritium and the rear is going to be like an orange color. So just some things to point out between the commemorative and this commercial version. Moving on down with the gun, you do notice this loaded chamber indicator there. And it is not intrusive, it doesn't get in the way, and it really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot as far as telling you if the chamber is loaded. I like to use this little window right here, which you can do and see the brass in there. This also stands out a little bit. You can kind of feel this if it's loaded. So you have basically 3 different redundancies there to check if it's loaded without doing a press check or anything like that. One drawback from this, it is a very simple design. I don't think you're going to have any issues with reliability, but it does, under fire, will blow some of the gas up out of this into your optic. So I have noticed my optic getting clouded a little bit faster than some other guns, mainly because of this loaded chamber indicator blowing that powder up into it. So just some things to think about, easily remedied, just a real quick swipe and you're back in action, but just something to note there. With the gun, as we continue on, the barrel is different, so we'll take that in just a moment, but mostly the crowning on the barrel. So if you notice, the very end of this is rounded, and that is unique to this M17. So it is a different barrel, not only for that loaded chamber indicator, but also the profile on it. You'll notice here with this, we got much more of a flat shape there at the end. So the standard 320 barrel is different in profile and whatnot, as opposed to the M17. Back on with the M17, normally they have a safety. I didn't have the safety on here. It just, again, doesn't jive well with my shooting style and whatnot, so I don't have it on there. I can show that off with the air pistol though, so as you guys see, nice flat profile, and I have handled and fired the ones with the safety, and it does stay nicely out of the way. Probably one of the least intrusive safeties that I've noticed. It's just a matter of training your brain to get used to flicking that off on the draw. Not impossible, just not something that I'm willing to do right now. Moving on with the rest of the gun, the rest is pretty much standard Sig P320 fare. This is a carry version, so it is shorter. I'm not really sure the reason they did that, maybe to save a little bit of money or something. It does kind of look cool, it looks different, but I'm not really sure it serves a functional reason to be shorter there. I can't really figure out anything on my own, but really on all the sights and optics you're going to mount are pretty much going to be back here. I have not seen too many that you're going to need these front rails for, so neither here nor there, just something to think about. And that is one way they went with this M17, was to only equip it with this carry version, so the shorter front here. Moving on with the rest of the gun, these come with your standard 17 round mags with the cool coyote color base plate, so you get 2 of those with the civilian version. With the commemorative, you do get the larger, grab one here on my mag wall, one of these larger 21 round mags, but it is in the coyote base plate, so something you may want there. Also, you can buy those mags with the coyote base plate from Sig themselves, so really no harm, no foul. If you want that, just go out and buy it, and you throw an extra mag in your cart, you're good to go. The profile on these releases and everything is basically the exact same you're going to get on the 320. Let's get in next before I tear it down into the actual trigger itself. So again, we've verified this is empty. I'll do it again. The trigger, pretty much your standard P320 trigger. Now with that said, Sig has rolled out multiple different improvements on these 320s without letting people know. So there's not a generational change or anything, but the newer 320s are rock solid. We have had some issues in my department with reliability, things like that on some of the previous versions of the 320. There are little tweaks here and there that have been made to this gun. So the newer ones coming out are rock solid, have a pretty good trigger, and it's one of those triggers you just definitely have to stage on. In other words, you can't just sweep through that little dead space there, that slack take up, and just kind of break. I always just kind of pull shots if I do that. You have to stage pretty hard on that wall, and then as you sweep through that wall, it's going to have a pretty nice crisp break. Fairly low pull there, so not a whole lot of effort or anything required, but overall pretty good striker trigger. Have I felt better ones? Yes. Have I felt worse ones? Yes. It's definitely not notchy or anything like that, and absolutely more than adequate for a duty trigger. So there you have my take on that. Everything else is pretty much the same. No flared, beveled mag well or anything crazy going on. Just pretty much P320 fare. Now it gets interesting when we take a look inside this gun. So we'll tear it down just like we do normally. Slide this off. Now one of the big differences that I did note, and I'll take my other slide off so you guys can see this without me blabbing away and kind of overrunning the fact here. On the M17, the little feed notch here for your rounds, you'll notice that's kind of a unique profile. So that's kind of a newer profile. Now I haven't seen the brand new P320s to see if that's going on across the board, but you guys remember they had some issues with these spitting out live rounds and things, so I think that's one of the fixes there. And if you'll notice the 320, this is just kind of a gently sloped design here, and I have seen some that are even a different profile than this. It's more of a flat design there. So this is something that's kind of evolved with the 320, and I think the M17 is going to have the latest version where you have that kind of deep undercut there to kind of keep those malfunctions from happening that they were experiencing during the MHS trials. That is one of the only changes I've noted. Also, the barrel there being a little bit more rounded. We'll take that out so you guys can see it a little bit better. Other than that, everything else is pretty much standard fare P320 stuff. So again, you see the kind of rounding here on that barrel like I was mentioning before. It is a different profile. And also you're gonna have that notch in the rear for the loaded chamber indicator. I'll smack it back together here. Other than that, I can't comment on like spring rates or anything crazy like that. I don't know if those are different. It doesn't feel any different. So we'll just kind of go with that, I guess. But you pretty much have a P320 that is set up, for military specs, has a few little pull aheads and things like that. But overall, you're pretty much getting your P320. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because these newer P320s, and specifically this gun, they are darn accurate guns. I mean, accurate to the point where they're almost, it's almost kind of like, should I get an X carry, should I get an X5, or should I just get a P320? I mean, the lockup in these is great, is outstanding. They're just very accurate guns. So especially with this gun, if you look at my Instagram, I've been able to really group solid with this gun, just dead center where those sights are aimed. You do have the cool sight package, so I do really like that, the way they did the sights, and I'm really looking forward to the M18, the compact version. That may be a carry option of mine because I like the way they did that. The other thing you also get is the footprint made for this Leupold sight. So, you take that plate off, you can slap your Deltapoint on there like I have, because this is the optic that the military is going to be going with, at least this footprint. And I know some people out there have kind of, whined about that, and I don't know why they would, pick this footprint and whatever else. Leupold makes some great optics, and this is no slouch, as it is here. There are some drawbacks. My biggest drawback is right down in here where you're going to see the diode, the lens for that is back set, so it's back in the gun. It's recessed, if you will, into this housing, and you can't easily wipe it off. So if you get dust and debris in there like I have, it is a real monster to try to get cleared out and get that dust out of there without obscuring the optic. That said, this is the triangle, so this has a 7.5 delta, if you will, the triangle shape, and I really like it because it's so fast to pick up, plus it's very precise. You just put wherever you want it to pattern on the very tip of that triangle. You probably can't see it because of the crazy optic stuff that's going to happen, but there's a triangle in there instead of a normal dot. I find that to be awesome as far as red dot sights go. Really like the sight. I really like the fact that it has the footprint for this as opposed to just the SIG only footprint. And I know SIG is releasing some optics to fit this footprint as well. So if you want a SIG optic, you can put that on this gun as well. Just some other things to throw out there without getting too much in the weeds about the optic itself. Now, as far as how the military is going to use this, 99.999% of the guns will never have this on there. So really, it doesn't matter what people think or if they like Deltapoints or if they think it's silly that they're using an open top design or whatever. I'm sure Deltapoint or Leupold will come out with an enclosed version. I'm sure they'll come out with a militarized version. I don't have any question about that. I just know that most of the guns, especially in this day and age, are never going to have this on there. You might have some operators out there that have big budgets and things like that. You may have some people that want to purchase it on their own and put on there, and they may approve that. But most of your guns are not going to have this on there, especially for a pistol, which gets me into military pistol theory. This thing is basically all but worthless to the military. Now, I say that because the military just doesn't have much regard for pistols. There's just not much of a use in modern warfare for pistols. Occasionally here and there, and you guys might have heard, clearing out caves in Afghanistan and things like that, you might need to go to a pistol. Yes, that's true, but for the most part, you can do different carbine tactics to incorporate your carbine, which is what most military people will tell you. You're going to want to go to a long gun if you can to have that accuracy, that standoff range, that distance, that lethality over a pistol, especially if you're shooting the cruddy ball rounds that they issue with these things. I have seen pistols employed in combat. I have seen people shot with pistols in combat. They're not really effective. The ball rounds go sailing right through them. The people keep running, keep attacking, keep doing whatever. So it's just not really a preferred method of employment by the military. Now, they are essential because this is going to be your fallback item, especially the way they're fielding these, to have your first line leaders also have, be dual weapons. So you'll have this along with their long weapon, whatever that is. You also have some sniper teams, some machine gunners, things like that. That's going to be their secondary weapon. Maybe some crews that are going to be on, in tight quarters that can't get a full weapon in there. They might be issued just this, and also your leaders, your officers, things like that. Although that doctrine has also changed, so not really too many leaders, unless they're really high up and they're spending a lot of time in meetings, are issued this anymore. It's mostly just, if you're a frontline combat troop, your standard weapon is going to be an M4. That's just how it is with the military. So because of that, it's not really, a whole lot of effort is not put into, making these things just super great. Now, I think the Army did an awesome job with the MHS. I think it's an awesome choice. Is it better than the 19X, the Glock variant? I don't know. I've not really shot those back to back. I've not really done a comparison, and that's not what this video is about. I have complete trust and complete faith in both platforms, and I think it's really hard to go wrong with either one. So that's kind of my take on it. As far as what people out there carry, a lot of units out there that are kind of have the budgets to do so and things like that will still probably get the Glock variants just because they have that inroad already. They've been using them for a while and things like that. But I think over time, as budgets go along, I think you may see this fielded more with the special operations community as well, because I just don't see too many drawbacks with this gun. You have that extended barrel length, you have the better sight radius without the optic on there, and they are just rock solid reliable. Plus, you can kind of switch out parts as they break or as you need them, or to fit your mission requirements. So something kind of neat there that this package comes with. Other than that, reliability has been outstanding with this gun, as I would expect. Zero malfunctions, zero problems. I've shot ball ammunition, I've shot factory reloaded ball ammunition, I've shot hand-loaded ball ammunition. I've also shot a variety of hollow points through this gun, including some plus P and plus P+. Zero issues with the gun feeding, firing, anything like that. So as to be expected, awesome in the reliability department. And again, I just kind of look forward to that M18. I think it's going to be a really, really viable carry option for a lot of people. It's just going to have kind of all the options you want, along with that kind of Deltapoint footprint, which is nice for some people. Still, one thing that I'm looking for is to get a height, front sight height tall enough to co-witness with this. I did try some of the standard Sig Sauer suppressed right sight. It still sits too low for this platform, and as you guys know, the Deltapoint, that is just a very tall optic. You can get the rear, and that's what this is made for. You can get the rear for the Deltapoint that just goes on there and will co-witness over this. It's going to be the front sight. I expect you might be able to get some from maybe Dawson Precision, custom made, but I don't know what height that's going to be yet. So I think maybe in the future, Sig is going to roll out a package for this to have the front sight on it if you want to do that co-witnessing, and that's going to be the ultimate package there, especially in that compact version if you want to carry and you want to carry an optic. So there you guys have it. That's my take on it. We'll get into the Beretta and the differences with that in the remaining few minutes. So with the Beretta itself, this thing has been around, and it is a just very reliable gun. Now, talking off record with some members of the Army Marksmanship Unit, they were really kind of hesitant to go to the M17, but of course that's kind of everybody's reaction to something new. But with that said, I've spent a lot of time on this gun. I fired this gun. I love this gun. I still carry Berettas. This is a rock solid, reliable gun. It really is. It's had a bad rep because of lack of maintenance with the military. And I think this is also probably going to develop a bad rep over time because it's not going to be maintained by the military, because it's just an afterthought as far as weapon systems go. And time will tell if that's true or not. But, these are very accurate, Very good lockup, very reliable pistols, especially to stay on top of that locking block and do those things you need. But it does have its drawbacks, and one of the main drawbacks is weight, okay? Weight and size. So let's look at the size first. You are getting a more compact package with this M17. You guys can see the barrel. That's my biggest complaint, is if the barrel was flush with this gun, it really wouldn't be so crazy, but it does stick out another, almost half an inch there, which makes it a little bit bonkers when you're looking at comparing it to other guns. So you do have an extra length there. Down here, we'll go ahead and get this mag back in here so we get an accurate comparison there. But you guys notice it's basically the same size as far as the handle area goes. However, with the Sig, you're able to get up a little bit higher just because of the way that's made. Berettas have this kind of low hanging, grip here where you're kind of on the very end of it. Even with a full-size grip, I'm kind of running out of space there. Not really the case here with the Sig, so it may fit more people. Obviously, you can change out those grip modules as well, which is going to be cool once those things get fielded in. But basically, that's what you have here. The biggest drawback also is going to be can't change out the front sight. So if you narf that up, which a lot of them are narfed up, your sight picture suffers. Also, non-beveled magwell. Boo for fast reloads. But again, have reloads been really a prime thing to train on as far as self-defense or military combat or anything like that. With a pistol, maybe not so much. But it is kind of a drag because that is something you would expect on today's pistols. I'm going to look next at the weight, which is going to be where this thing really stands out, or the big difference you guys notice is really coming to the forefront. Get off camera here for a moment. So we got our scale here. We'll get that started up and zeroed out, and we'll see, because I haven't even compared these two. This is going to be with an empty mag, and remember the sight is on this, so you guys might be able to take a few ounces off of this. I'm not going to swap it out just for this weight here, but the M17 is 1 pound 13 ounces with the sight on it. 1 pound 13 ounces with the sight on it. You guys can do the math and kind of figure out. Matter of fact, we'll see if this even weighs anything. 1.2 ounces for this back plate. So if you guys subtract and do all kind of math there, you can figure out what the actual weight of that would be with open sights. So let's take a look at the big boy Beretta. 2 pounds 2 ounces. 2 pounds 2 ounces versus 1 pound 13 ounces. With the sight on it. So just some things to throw out there and think about and chew on. And as you guys know, and you might have heard good old nothing fancy talk about, weight is kind of paramount, especially in today's loadout. Wanting things to be lighter so you have more mobility, you're gassing your troops much less, things like that. That's going to be a key concern. So that's the biggest difference probably in these two weapons. Obviously one being hammered fired, one being striker fired with a safety. But the Beretta has that silly decocker safety that the military thinks they need. So hammer fire versus striker fire, I prefer both of them. I really like shooting both. I don't really have much of a preference, and I know most of your target guys would probably go with the hammer gun because on the longer distances you can kind of do the single action stuff, especially for bullseye shooting, things like that. Whereas this, you just have that same pull no matter what. Again, another video, another debate for that one. Just wanted to throw it out there. I think they're both probably the same in reliability and probably the same in accuracy. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. Continue to like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you need to do so I can keep cranking these videos out, keep coming your way with new information. And as always, continue to learn and practice your craft so that we all become better gunfighters. Thank you very much. Jay Helmsing.